It's difficult to make out, but that is your biological great great grandfather.
Now, I'd have fought you 5 minutes ago if you told me that I had a white great great grandfather.
Nine, 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 nine.
All right, everybody. Hello, everyone. This is Andy coming at you from the bunker where Clown World Chronicles is currently situated. Saw this a few days ago, maybe a week ago, and I wanted to talk about it. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but things are getting to the point where I can do this more often. My situation stabilized a little bit with all the doings in my life over the last, 7, 8 months. So I saw this the other day. I wanted to talk about it because the reaction of Levar Burton, the racist over here, was kind of funny to me. Where somebody tells him he has white blood in him, and he's like, I would have fought you for saying something like that, boy. Them's fighting words. But yeah, it's funny to me how these people are like. I think he's kind of saying it in jest, but it's funny to me how tone deaf these people are. Uh, Considering if this was a white man who had done the same thing about black ancestry in his bloodline, there'd be scowls of righteous indignation throughout the land, and yeah, we would have never heard the end of it. But because it's a black guy talking about his white blood in his bloodline, nobody bats an eye. So I wanted to go over the video and get a little into it and really peel the onion. So let's watch the whole video here.
But there's one more thing I want to share with you. Would you please turn the page?
Okay. Wow, that's him.
You are looking at your great great grandfather, James Henry Dixon. It's difficult to make out, but that is your biological great great grandfather.
Now, I'd have fought you 5 minutes ago if you told me that I had a white great great grandfather.
You do. You can fight me, but it's the truth. And ain't nothing you can do about it.
What? Kunta got white ancestry.
Yeah, that's right.
What?
Yeah.
Come on now, Skip.
You know, you took 2 DNA tests. The 2 major commercial DNA tests almost never have tested an African American who was 100% sub-Saharan African.
Wow.
We all have white ancestry.
But this is close.
That's right, but this is close, and by name.
Levar's great-great-grandfather died in 1906. Our research shows that he had at least 9 children and more than 40 grandchildren, meaning that Levar has an extensive network of white cousins whose roots stretch back centuries in the American South.
This is insanely surprising. I mean,
How does it make you feel? Confederates in the family.
well, there's some conflict roiling inside of me right now, but it also, oddly enough, I feel a pathway opening up. I have wanted for a long time, knowing what I know about the history of this nation. I've wanted, especially in this current time frame, in this now moment, I believe that as Americans, we need to have this conversation about who we are and how we got here.
Okay, so I don't know, like it's kind of looked like he was kidding around there when he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fight you," so on and so forth. I don't think he was really seriously offended that he has, white blood in him. But I mean, it just goes to show, like, the whole mindset with specifically blacks. So yeah, so getting to this whole reaction from Levar. I mean, you can understand where it's coming from, because the problem is with blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, they're more likely than white people to see their ethnicity or their race as central to their identity, right? So specifically for blacks. And, you can see right here from Pew, did a little study on this, and basically it shows that for blacks, their ethnicity is like 52%. For 52% of them, it's extremely important, and 22% very important. So you have like 74% of the population, so 3/4 of the population, find that their race or their ethnicity is central to their identity, not who they are, like not their individual personalities or individual character. No, their race is the most important thing to their identity. And you can see the same kind of trend for Hispanics, not as high, almost 60%. And the same with Asians, so 56%, whereas whites, it's only just 15%. And the reason for that is, going back, like a lot of people who live in North America who never lived in Europe don't understand the dynamics of European civilization. We've been slaughtering each other for millennia. And so therefore we don't see ourselves as, whites. We see ourselves as our particular nationality or ethnicity. So Slavs identify with Slavs, Greeks with Greeks, Italians, French with, there are circumstances in certain parts of certain nationalities where one group, like let's say, for example, Italy, northern Italians don't necessarily love their southern Italian brothers so much. There's an actual reference to it in The Sopranos when Furio's talking about how the northern Italians always turn their nose up at them. So we Europeans have a long history of having these kind of conflicts amongst each other, to the point that our collective identity as white people isn't the thing that we focus on. We focus on more on our nationality, our regionality, our family. And so that's why for whites, unless you're a Nazi, racial consciousness, because this is what this is. Racial consciousness isn't our thing. We don't really care so much about that. And that's why in a lot of the data that you'll see, whites are least racist. We opened up our societies to people from all over the world. So, a lot of the narratives that the radical left likes to point out about whites and white supremacy. That's why I laugh at white supremacy. It's a boogeyman. It's not a real thing. It doesn't really exist. But for blacks, it's the core of their identity for 3/4 of them, and that's why Levar behaved in the way that he did, which would be considered highly, highly racist if anybody else had that kind of a reaction to realizing that they had different races running through their bloodline. And it's actually funny to me that Levar behaved in this way, because I did this thought experiment about 30 years ago when I was in my early 20s. And I kind of did this little thought experiment here. It was like, I have two parents. My parents have two parents. Their parents have two parents. Their parents. So if you go back just 7 generations, over 128 people have contributed to your DNA. So go back to 10 generations, 20 generations. You're talking about thousands of people having contributed to your DNA. There's no way you can claim that you're pure blood. Because I remember as a kid growing up, I had these Greek friends who were uber proud of their Greek nationality, their Greek heritage. And I'm proud of my Greek heritage too. But they were all like, "Oh yeah, I'm pure blood, this and that." And I did this little thought experiment, and it's like nobody can really claim they're pure blood, man, unless you could trace back all of your um, all the people who contributed to the sperm milkshake, which is your DNA. There's no way you could positively guaranteed say, "Oh yeah, I'm 100% pure blood this or pure blood that." It's just impossible. You're gonna have people from all over the place who contributed to your DNA. So it kind of makes me laugh when these these secret Nazi types are all like they're always talking about bloodlines and heritage and things of that nature. It just makes me like, dude, man, if you go back far enough, somebody like everybody's contributed to everybody else's DNA. There's no such thing as a pure. And if you're a pure blood, you're one of those like royal families who've inbred for generations, and you have all sorts of genetic deformities and shit like that. So it just makes me laugh. These leftists who are supposedly the more enlightened among us would behave in such a way where it's just blatantly racist to behave when you find out that you have white blood in you. It's like, seriously, man, you're the enlightened one. And this is why I say they're not virtuous. They're sociopaths, because they wrap themselves up in the blanket of virtue, like they're the kind ones, they're the benevolent ones, they're the compassionate ones. And you can see the minute something skews, you can just see the way they treat black conservatives, calling them, they call like Clarence Thomas a house nigger and this and that. It's like, dude, seriously? Or, what's Larry Elder, they called him the white face of the black face of white supremacy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So they're not virtuous. The leftists are not virtuous. They're sociopaths, and you could see in the reaction of Levar Burton that he's a blatant racist to behave in such a way. And well, there you go. There's your proof right there. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about that. I'm going to have more stuff for you coming up soon over the next few days. My work schedule's aligned so I can produce more video. So I'm going to keep doing these. You let me know if you like what you heard by liking, sharing, and commenting. And feel free to post suggestions on something if you want to hear some internet stranger talk bloviate about some subject that he knows nothing about. Feel free to leave some suggestions in the comments. All right, talk to you soon, everybody.